If you see videos from the casual, cozy farming sim game side of YouTube, you have already heard about Fields of Mistria. It released to early access in early August of this year and has been getting a lot of buzz in the past couple weeks. I'll say right now, I will recommend this game with my whole chest, even if it broke my heart a little bit. To get the heartbreak part out of the way, it happened when I hit level 60 in the mines, and a whole bunch of excited momentum hit a stone wall. Sure, it's my own fault for losing sight of the big early access disclaimer on the game, but let's look at it this way. The gaming experience up to that point had been so polished and well-tuned that I lost sight of the early access part of it. I'll tell you about the 30 hours I've played so far, the good, the nitpicks, the comparisons to Stardew Valley, but the bottom line is Fields of Mistria is cooking with a special sauce. And if you're curious about it, just get the game. Rough start. My first hour in game actually started out on a sour note. For consumable items like coin purses, food, and cosmetic unlocks, the control scheme says to use E, right-click A, but it doesn't specify that you need to hold that button down. I did so much troubleshooting. Multiple saves, multiple computers. Yes, I feel like an idiot now, but even though there's a progress bar that pops up when you hit A, it didn't occur to me that you need to take a second to charge that healing item before you can use it. This comes up later in the mines, but in my experience, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, another small issue from the first couple days, storage space. You need to jump through a few hoops to get more chests than the one that comes with your house, either by leveling up your carpentry skill or paying 250 coins at the general store. Until you do either of those things, you do need to go into your house anytime you want to, use your storage more than the 10 inventory you carry on you. The caveat to this going in the house is that once you get a pickaxe, which is acquired from an NPC quest on day 2 or later, you can use that to pick up your inside chest and move it outdoors. But when you hit it with the pickaxe, everything that's inside will come flying out, but you won't have that much stuff anyways, probably. I suppose the shipping bin can also be used as a temporary chest, but for my method of temporary storage just ended up being throwing things on the ground. The gentle side. Anyway, once I got over the hurdle of not being able to eat things and could properly play the game, I spent a few hours playing in a fairly relaxed way, doing a little bit of each activity and letting the game gradually unfold. There's a lot of really gentle aspects to the mechanics. Catching fish is waiting for a fish shadow to notice your line, then waiting for it to bite, and pressing one button to reel it in. No further minigame needed. Bug catching is even more gentle. Bugs don't startle or run away at all, so as long as you have a net on you, you can catch it. Trees and rocks outside your farm respawn every day, and if there's a limit to how long items can stay on the ground before despawning, I haven't found it. I even tried leaving things on the ground when the seasons changed from spring to summer, and the things that were left on the ground stuck around. The floor isn't lava, the floor is storage. Also gentle, no crows, and once you till the ground, it stays that way until, you untill it or maybe after winter. But tilled spots stick around a long time. They don't decay if not planted. Also, if you use a tool in a place where it will have no effect, such as swinging an axe with no tree nearby, it doesn't take any energy at all. And using your pickaxe to move decorations doesn't cost energy either. Passing out at 2 AM costs some health and energy the next day, but the primary penalty is time, waking up at 10 AM instead of 6 AM. It's still a penalty, but in my opinion, a lot gentler than losing cash. All the shops operate independently of the NPCs that run them. You can visit any store and make purchases at any time of day. The flip side of that is, to my knowledge, you can only sell items through the shipping bin, which has limited space. This means that if you spend all your money that you had at 6 AM, the only way to make more money before tomorrow is from quests, town rank, or museum rewards. There's a new NPC fetch quest every single day, and none of them have time limits. There are wild fruit trees. For folks who say that Stardew is too stressful, Fields of Mistria might be a balm for the soul. On the other hand, 5-ish hours in, I wasn't sick of the gentle, casual playthrough, but I was curious how much I could accomplish in the first season if I took my knowledge, ditched relationship building, and focused on big quests. And I had a lot of fun doing it, made a bunch of progress. But I don't have too much to say about that second game, because the next time I played, I started another new save and made even more extreme choices to further optimize my gameplay, which is how, on Summer 9, I reached Mines level 60, the deepest bit in the mines available in early access. Probably could have been a few days sooner, but I made casual play choices during the first week of summer. In this latest save, I also did all of the town renovation quests up through upgrading the general store and repairing the beach bridge before the end of spring. It came at the cost of not having any animals, not having any hearts with NPCs, and not completing the spring bug and fish collections in the museum, but the trade-off was worth it for me. I'm excited to do a run of this game where I can plant 9 different crops the first day of summer, grow all of them instantly, and have 9 new cooking recipes the next day. Will that happen on every playthrough? Absolutely not. But I personally find a certain level of min-maxing to be fun, and I like that Fields of Mistria offers me the chances to do it. This is the only time in the video I'm going to talk about animals. I haven't raised any yet. But I do know that in a future playthrough I will be dedicated to breeding blue animals. Okay, now for some things that I do know about and absolutely like. Many skills. Farming and ranching are separate skills, mining and archaeology are separate skills, cooking, carpentry, and blacksmithing are all skills and all separate. Each skill currently has 12 possible upgrades, 4 each at levels 1, 15, and 30, with more on the way, and most of them feel useful. Even an upgrade like your crop might stay watered overnight is good because if that pre-watered tile is in the splash zone of an upgraded watering can, you only pay the energy cost for the tiles watered right then. So my iron watering can use 9 energy to water 9 tiles, but if 2 of them had stayed wet overnight, I only spent 7 energy. There are tons of craftables. Some are functional, some are food, and a lot of them are decorative. Crafting recipes are obtained through the mail, from quests, and each vendor has a small selection available to purchase each day. And of course, some of the basics are innate. Another thing I like, crafting is both instant and non-instant. From the player perspective, it's instant, no waiting for furnaces to finish smelting a bar. But all cooking and crafting recipes take in-game time to happen. You buy skill perks to decrease these crafting times in 10-minute increments, so while you do have to spend 10 minutes to craft each individual stone path tile at the beginning, once you unlock the first time upgrade for carpentry, you'll be able to craft as many stone paths as you want with no in-game time passing. The mines are also really well done. There's fishing, bug catching, and foraging to be done down there, and you'll need to do all of them to progress past each biome. The enemies all have attack patterns that make it reasonable to get through most encounters without taking any damage, which is good since consuming food isn't instant. As you progress, the floor layouts become more dynamic, with chasms to jump, whirlpools to swim through, and even some floors where you have to find a lever to open the ladder to go to the next floor down. This isn't the compared to Stardew section, but I think an apt metaphor would be to call the Stardew mines a tortilla and the Mistria mines a brioche bun. Stardew is flatter, but the flatness is only a bad thing if you want to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And if you wanted a burrito, you wouldn't be reaching for Mistria. Well, I guess now it is time for the Stardew comparison section. This starts out as a stream of consciousness exploration, but I promise I'll get to a thesis eventually. For me, this won't be a replacement for Stardew Valley in my gaming diet, but provided that nothing in 1.0 makes the game demonstrably worse, Fields of Mistria will be a companion game that holds a similar amount of replay value for me. Things that feel different. Both game styles are valid. The shape of meta progression is different. Stardew's mines are a long, unbroken tunnel with checkpoints throughout, but no substantial gameplay changes as you progress. Mistria treats the mines as a branch of story progression. Each 20 levels ends with cutscenes, a bundle to complete, and a new magic spell added to your abilities. You can't go any deeper until the previous bundle is complete. I suppose you could compare this to the community center, but the scales are different, and each bundle in the Mistria mines is specific to the 20 floors above it, but it's more linear. Earth, then water, then crystal, and you'll never find bronze on any iron levels. This style of progression, specifically related to the mines, impacts how I play a game like this. I, as a player of farm sims and an IRL crafter, like to have very low friction between myself and the resources I need to make things. I don't need all the iron ore I'll ever need on hand, but I do want seamless access to get more of what I need. I don't want to come across a crafting recipe that needs silver or gold bars when I'm only on the iron level of the mines. In Stardew, that scenario, hello quality sprinklers, would require me to get deeper in the mines, gathering gold and smelting it, The same scenario in Mistria, not that I could name a non-tool craft that uses silver, would require me to mine deeper, but also potentially spend a day fishing and bug catching in the mines to fill up the bundle at level 40. So yeah, my number one priority is always resource access. Luckily for me, I like mining in games in general, and I find the mines in Fields of Mistria to be quite enjoyable, if far from home. Related tangent, in Coral Island, I didn't rush all the mines, just the first one, but I did rush the ocean cleanup. So much so that I was working on routing an ocean percent speedrun. I just really wanted osmium kelp ASAP to make sprinklers. And now that I'm on the topic of sprinklers, even the core mechanic of Field of Mistria farming is different and more gentle than Stardew. In the 2 seasons I've played, there are no sprinklers, no crows, and no trellis crops, and the lack of those changes the texture of farming. Not a ton, we're talking like denim versus corduroy. Both are cromulent, just not the same, and you might be in the mood for one or the other. And, like I said before, the skill structure is very different. The crafting mechanic is very different. I'm assuming at some point I can have a carpentry bench on my farm, if not a forge, but in my 30 hours, every time I need to cook, I've gone to the inn. Every time I need to do metalworking, I've gone to the forge, and so on. Okay, here's my thesis about the comparison. Fields of Mistria doesn't feel like a modded Stardew or evolved form of Stardew. The core gameplay loop of both games is the same on paper. Farm, mine, fish, sell crops, gems, fish, get better equipment and machines to improve the value of crops or fish, etc. The real experience of playing a farm sim depends on the execution, how good it feels to interact with the mechanics of that core gameplay loop, and both games do it really well. But the bigger picture of Stardew as a game isn't that core loop, it's the goals you're building towards. In that way, Stardew is, or at least started as, the community center. The point of Stardew the game is to unlock the minecarts, build the greenhouse, reach Calico Desert, and make friends. If a game developer wanted to replace Stardew Valley for me specifically, what they would have to offer, along with good-feeling core mechanics, is a community center. Substantial, non-linear improvements with well-paced, increasingly complex, and flexible requirements. The bigger picture of Fields of Mistria has 2 tracks, but both are more straightforward, becoming more magical and restoring/improving the town. Some of the town improvements are really valuable. Repairing the mill unlocks a new branch of crafting related to animals, and upgrading the general store unlocks new crops and another inventory upgrade. But other than that, doing the next quest put in front of me, I didn't have a choice in what I was working toward, and I didn't necessarily know what I would get out of it. I had to repair the bridge and return the Saturday market first thing, even though I have yet to purchase anything at the Saturday market. Its primary value for me is that all the NPCs are in one place, and I spend Saturday mornings completing NPC quests that I can fulfill that day. Fields of Mistria has a secret sauce in its gentle design choices, smooth mechanics, and enjoyable vibes, but for me, the secret sauce of Stardew Valley is the community center, and on that axis, Fields of Mistria just can't compete, but I'm still gonna play it a ton. That's all the good stuff and the thinky stuff. I just have a couple of nitpicks. There's no button to stack same into chest. I've worked around this by having every chest full of random items, and if I see something highlighted in my inventory, that means I can stack it into the chest, and then I hopefully have no duplicate stacks in any chests. Shift-click to move a stack into storage is not written anywhere. You don't have to manually drag everything from your inventory to a chest. On controller, using the bumpers to cycle through my inventory when there's more than 10 spots is just gross. Rearranging tools when I sort my inventory. I always want to have my pickaxe next to my sword. I don't want any other tools in between. I just wish that I could put them in the order that I like and have them stay even when I sort the rest of my inventory. Swinging a sword only attacks or cuts grass in the direction your character moved last. You can't scythe one direction, then click behind you and scythe that way. Luckily, it's less aggravating on controller, but I still wish that I could, sword behind me if I was playing mouse and keyboard without having to manually turn around. Trees spawning on tilled soil can only be chopped with an axe. It's just kind of annoying. I wish there were more mouse over info pop-ups, specifically NPC names on the minimap. I spend a lot of time squinting at their portrait and trying to match that to the smaller portrait on the minimap, and I get it wrong 2 out of 10 times. I'm hoping that fast travel happens sooner than the end of the mines. I'm guessing that it's going to be a mine thing because traveling between dragons seems like a magic thing rather than a restoration thing. One last nitpick. and it's the nittiest nit I've ever tried to pick. When you're on the end of day summary page, the background pans way too fast, and it makes me uncomfortable. Even though I feel like these nitpicks are valid things to mention, ending on them feels like a downer. So instead, I offer this glimpse of my farm after another 10 hours of play. I've made it into fall, adopted some animals, and organized my farm a bit, adding both a kitchen and a carpentry workbench. While having fields this large is basically printing money, managing them, plus my animals, takes a lot of energy and a lot of time, leaving very few hours to forage and socialize, much less go to the beach or back to the mines. Fortunately, the animal daycare is no cost and judgment free, so on weekends I can board my cows, summon rainstorms, and spend all my time catching up on fishing, 100% worry free. This isn't all I have to say about Fields of Mistria, but I'll end it here to keep me from going too deep into the weeds. In conclusion, the early access price is $13.99 US, and I've gotten more enjoyment out of this incredibly well-crafted, gentle farming sim than I have from fully released games in the genre at twice the price. So if Fields of Mistria sounds like your kind of game, jump on the bandwagon with me. I promise you won't be disappointed.